everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is my Granny Era. Today I am doing my weekly wrap up. Everything that I've read in the last week, that is 3 books. And so I want to share this with you guys today and then talk a little bit about what I am currently reading and what my plan is for the rest of March, which we only have like a week left. It is the 25th of March, so yeah, just like 5-6 days, that's all we got left of March. Okay, so let's talk about the books that I read this week. The first one I finished was Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. This was a unplanned middle grade March read for me. I was in the middle of something else and my 13-year-old daughter came in. Her name is Cynthia, and she came in and said, "You got to read this book." So I did, and I loved it. She is a big Scott Odell fan. She's read several of his books. She wants to read more. This was on a reading list when I was a kid, and I just wasn't interested because it was about animals. Now, it's not really all that much about animals, a little bit. There is a dog in here, actually, that plays a pretty big part. The island is just called Island of the Blue Dolphins, but, you know, the dolphins don't play a significant part. But anyway, I just wasn't interested as a kid. Reading it now, I actually really did enjoy it. It's a great story about this young girl who is left on an island all by herself for many years. And all of the things that she does just to sort of survive, right? It's kind of like a Robinson Crusoe sort of story. Now, I'm not done with Robinson Crusoe yet, so like I said in the other video, don't give me spoilers. Does he survive? I don't know. But this girl does survive, and it's actually based on a true story of a woman who was found on a deserted island, and she had been there for like 20 years. And when they found her, you know, they didn't speak her language, she didn't speak their language, and they couldn't communicate with her, and she actually passed away soon after being found. But Scott Odell sort of revised the story and made it about this young girl. So it was a really good story. I enjoyed it. And recently I did a tag video that asked, what 5 books would you want to have with you if you were stranded on a desert island? And now that I read this, I definitely would want to take this book along too, because there's a lot of really great survival ideas in this story. So if you haven't read this, check it out. Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. That ended up being a 5-star read for me, actually, and I don't give 5 stars out very often. I'm not super liberal with them. All right, the second read, this was The ABC Murders by Agatha Christie. I read this for March Mystery Madness, and this was my first Poirot mystery. So I have read a bunch of the Miss Marples, but I had not yet read any of the Poirots. And I did enjoy it. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I wouldn't have known what was going to happen, right? My husband and I actually just watched this episode recently, and my plan was to watch, you know, not to read the books until I'd watched the episodes, just because I really like the TV shows that they've done with Poirot and with the Joan Hickson Miss Marple. But now I'm kind of wondering if perhaps I would like to read the Poirots first, because it has been so long since I have watched the Poirot TV series, and I've only watched it through once before, that a lot of the mysteries are new and I'm not remembering how they were solved, right? So maybe I do want to read the books first. I don't know. But anyway, I did enjoy the story. One of the things that I noticed was there was a lot of like Freudian stuff, right? A lot of like Freudian philosophy. And as I was reading through it, I was like, wow, she was pretty influenced by Sigmund Freud. However, as I did a little research studying this whole, you know, theory out, I realized that Freud was actually a pretty big Agatha Christie fan. And their lives overlapped quite, you know, several decades, that he was able to read quite a bit of her work. And so I wonder if it was actually Agatha Christie who influenced Freud and not the other way around. But I do think the more of these books I read by Agatha Christie, the more I realize that I think I have made the same mistake that people make about Miss Marple. They think that she's just an unassuming old lady who just sits and crochets quietly in the corner and pay no mind, right? She's just probably a little dementia, you know, going on, and people just don't really take Miss Marple seriously. And the more kind of genius things that sort of subtly come out as I'm reading through the works of Agatha Christie, I'm finding that I have made some assumptions and just not given her enough credit. So I would like to publicly apologize for that. And I am enjoying the Agatha Christie stories that I'm going through. That one was a 3-star read for me. And then my third book for this week was St. Patrick of Ireland by Philip Freeman. I read this one for the Celtophile read-along and the Irish book reading challenge read-along thing for this month. I wanted to get an Irish book in, right? So I've had this biography of Patrick for years on my TBR shelf. This says that it went on in 2011, so it was high time that I read this book. And I did really enjoy it. Let's see, this was a 4-star read for me. So it wasn't just about Patrick, it was also about Ireland, it was about Christianity, it was about paganism, it was about women and druids and just all kinds of Irish history and interwoven into the story of Patrick, his influence on it, the stories that have been passed down about Patrick and how the Irish culture influenced those, and what's true and what's myth and what, hasn't been, no evidence has been found for, that kind of stuff. Like, it was just a really great story. It has an index, it has a bibliography. The index is pages long, the bibliography is pages long. For each section, actually, for each chapter at the end of the book, he has the bibliography written out in chapters. So I'm going to make sure that I go through that and put a bunch of those books on my wish list. It's just a really well done biography, and not too thick. Like, just another thing that this author did at the end of it, was he took Patrick's 2 pieces of writing that we have that are basically, they're both letters. So remember that for Epistolary January next year. Look for the letters of St. Patrick, because the 2 pieces of writing that we have still around that are his own, words, are both letters. But anyway, so this author took them and translated them into English, but into in a way that just also gives us kind of the feel behind it, right? Like the wording that he used, because in Patrick's letter to the religious leaders he was writing to, they kind of picked on him for being really lousy at Latin, right? Well, the dude was like in slavery while his peers were off at, higher education learning Latin and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of dumb to pick on him for that. But this guy, when he translated it, he took that into consideration and tried to make it sound, in the voice that it would have been written in as well. So I thought they were really well done. I am glad I read this. It was worth it. It's definitely staying on my shelf for a reference resource. Very well done, Philip Freeman. 4-star read. So for what I am currently reading, I am in the almost middle, I'm just past the middle of The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. This is on so many reading challenge lists for this month. It is the monthly challenge for my Children's Classic Challenge. It's the group read along for the middle grade March. It ticks the boxes for Anne's reading challenge at In Search of Wonder. I don't know, it's on several different things. So, doing a reread of The Secret Garden, very inspired by the portion where she asks her uncle for a bit of earth. And she just wants a little place, right, to make her own. I wrote up a whole teaching on that one for my ministry channel, but I will probably finish this tonight, depending on how long I spend making videos. And then I will have about 5 days left to do at least one more book to complete the different challenges that I wanted to join this month. The last one I haven't done anything for yet is the Bronte reading challenge, March on the Moors. Technically, The Secret Garden does take place on the moors, but for this challenge, we're supposed to read something Bronte-ish, right? By a Bronte, about a Bronte, whatever. So I have Agnes Grey. I think that is the group read-along, actually, for the March on the Moors. So I have Agnes Grey that I'm pretty positive I can get through that before the end of the month. I should be able to, unless something really weird happens. But if I get through it quick enough, then I also want to read The Vanished Bride, which is a Bronte Sisters mystery. I just found this sometime at a thrift shop, I guess, and that will fit both the Bronte March on the Moors challenge and March Mystery Madness, right? So those are my goals. I want to try to get those 2 read before the end of the month. I don't have any other plans for reading anything for Historathon for quarter one, and I was feeling a little bit bummed out about not doing more for Historathon this quarter. This is the hardest quarter for me, and so I completed some of my goals, but not as much as I wanted to. I was feeling bad about that until I read the Patriarch book, and I was like, oh, duh, this can count. So the Patriarch book actually counts for the Historathon quarter one as well. It's a nonfiction. It takes place before the year 500, so it's perfect. All right, guys, that's all I got. Let me know if you've read any of that stuff. Are you on track with your reading goals this month? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying what you're reading? Let me know in the comments. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.